Hello everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you might be watching the video. So today I'm going to analyze Euro USD. This is for your forex. I'm going to analyze Euro USD, and it's one of the pair beginner traders like trading. So I'll be analyzing Euro USD today. Okay, so this is your USD, and I normally like starting my analysis from the daily time frame. Sometimes I start from the weekly time frame, mostly when I do not put major zones on the daily time frame. So let's check what the weekly time frame is doing. Okay, right here we have a resistance, and let's see. I think I'm having. Let's see this. I'm a trend line trader. I love using trend lines. Okay, for now, I can say market is still trending upwards since it has not gotten to this trend line, and there's a resistance here. This resistance, since market has not gotten to this resistance and it has also not gotten to my trend line, it's fair to say price is currently trending up. And what I'll be doing now is looking for the next point of interest. That is where market will retrace to before taking my trade. Now, remember when I opened my daily charts, from the daily charts, I was not able to spot my major resistance and support. I do not like going far back to look for, like, do my analysis. So I just went to the weekly time frame instead. And I found that on the weekly time frame, I have a resistance here. And connecting this two I swing points, I know markets will be heading towards this trend line or this resistance box. So currently, from what I can say, from the weekly time frame and the daily time frame, market is trending upwards. And I always like respecting and following what the higher time frame is doing. So since market is trending upwards, I'll go down to the 4 hour time frame to do my analysis. Now I can take this out, take this out. Now we have this structure here. This is the structure I'll be using to analyze the market. Currently, this structure is forming um higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. You'll be wondering why I did not mark this one, because this low went beyond this, like down beyond this one. That's why I didn't use this high, and this low is an internal structure. So I'll just ignore that. And I have this low, this high, this low, this high, this low, and now I have this. And from here, if you notice, I have something like this here. Okay, let me take this out. I've been able to identify my structure. So now, since I've been able to identify my structure, the major eye that has not been tested in this market, which is the valid eye that has not been tested, is this eye. Market has not returned back to test this eye. That it has not done a retracement move to come back to test this eye. So what I'll be watching out for is market to. This is me using. I love using market structure while trading. Market structure, trend line, support and resistance. Then when I've done my analysis using that, that's when I go to the 1 hour time frame to use my smart money concept, because I'm an hybrid trader. I use smart money alongside support, resistance, and all of that. So now this is the major high that market has not been tested. Remember, there's this thing, support and resistance. Like, market does this. We know that previous resistance turns support for an uptrend, and since we're dealing with a bullish trend, yeah, I've been waiting for market to give me this kind of structure, and right now this is a major valid high market has formed, and then I'm waiting for market to return back to this zone. And there's something we call shallow and deep pullback. Market can give us a deep pullback sorry, a shallow. I won't really call it a shallow pullback. Let me say a pullback by coming back to this zone like this. But then market can also give us a deep pullback by not sitting on this previous resistance. It can end up going down. And so now what I'll be doing here is predicting where market is going to. Let's say currently I have my first zone of interest, and my first zone of interest is this, where market would say previous resistance, that is previous resistance support turn support. So that's what I'm interested in. And then if market give us a deep pullback, I'll be looking for the next zone where I'll be taking my entry. Maybe that's where my smart money concept comes in. I will look for fair value gap. I remember gaps. Fair value gap is when you have three successive candles, and then the gap between the first and the first, which is this first, and the third candle. So we'll call fair value gap, FVG. That's what we call fair value gap. So now I'll be looking for this, and also I'll be looking for liquidity, if any, and other block. That's if market comes back to do a deep pullback. So now let's go to the 1 hour time frame. I've been able to identify my sweet points from my 4 hour time frame. But first of all, before we go to the 4 hour time frame, remember I said I'm a trend line trader. I love using trend lines to trade. So I'll draw my trend line. This is the structure I'm looking out for. I'm looking for where market is going to retrace to. I'm going to draw my trend line now to see, to mark out our zone of interest. I have this. So I have this. Remember, we have outer and inner trend lines. I have this also. And let's see, maybe if we go to the 1 hour time frame, I can draw a trend line there. So now on the 4 hour time frame, on the daily and weekly time frame, I've been able to identify my trend. On the 4 hour time frame, I confirmed my trend using market structure, and I have marked out my zone of interest. That is this area here. This area is my first zone of interest, and then from our trend line we can get something like this or something like this. So I have my zone of interest here. I have my zone of interest on my trend line too, but trend line is used to guide, like, help us know the current market direction. So I'll go to the 1 hour time frame right now to look for, remember I said we have inner trend lines. So I've drawn my first outer trend line here, my inner trend line. Let's see if I can get any valid trend line. And remember, we have valid and invalid trend line. Okay, this here, if I draw this like this, market has already broken out from price. And this here is not a low, because this low, this current low, I've not been able to create any new high. So it's not really a valid point in the market. This is a valid last low I have here. So connecting this and this, I have this. Market has broken out from the trend line. So this is not a valid trend line, and I'm not interested in this trend line. So I'm going to take it out of my chart. Yeah. So what I've just said, remember this is my first zone of interest, and then around this trend line, I'm also going to be looking out for another point of interest. You can call it zone of interest, area of interest, or point of interest, POI, ZOI, and AOI, whatever you choose to call it. So now from this, what do we have here? I have major, which is previous resistance, turn support. You can call it previous higher, turn lower, higher low. Sorry. So now that I've gotten that, I know market can. The first entry for technical analysis, you have something like this, which is previous resistance, turn support. But now let's come to smart money concept, and then we'll go down to indicators. I'm going to show you the indicators I use. I think I use order block indicator, I use liquidity indicator, Asian range, and then moving average. Moving average is the major indicator I use while analyzing the chart. So now remember, I said something like FVG, and market can also do a very deep pullback, something like this before it moves. So where I want to identify the zone, my second point of interest where I'll be interested in if market ends up coming back. Let's go back to the 4 hour time frame. If we can see any FVG, which is fair value gap, below our previous resistance, which we're expecting to turn support. And yeah, I have FVG. If you observe from this point here to this point here, there's a distance. So this is my fair value gap. That's why I have my fair value gap. So I'll mark this out. I'll mark this out like this. My fair value gap. And fair value gap acts as, they also act as liquidity zones, liquidity area. So I have this on the daily time frame now. I'm going to take it out. I've been able to identify my fair value gap. I'll use my arrow. That's what I normally use. Arrow to identify that, oh yeah, I have a fair value gap here. So I write that FVG, fair value gap, small letter, whatever. So I'm interested in this one. Yeah, I have my fair value gap already. Let's go back to our 1 hour time frame and see if around that zone, yeah, there's a fair value gap there for me. So about the distance between your first candle, second candle. And if you observe, there's also some sort of fair value gap around this area. And this is my order block, which is the last candlestick before the massive move. So yeah, on the 1 hour time frame, this is where I have my fair value gap. And when you do your analysis from the higher time frame to the lower time frame, you adjust your analysis such that it aligns with what the higher time frame is doing. You adjust your lower time frame such that it aligns with what the higher time frame is doing. You do not adjust your higher time frame such that it aligns with the lower time frame. Nah, that's wrong. You look at the bigger picture, because on the lower time frame, market tends to create noise, so you avoid doing such. Now that I have this as my FVG, let me use this box to mark out my order block around this zone. I always mark out my order blocks on 1 hour time frame. Then on the 4 hour, daily, weekly, I can mark out my support, resistance, supply, demand, whatever, trend lines and whatever there. So now I have this. I like pushing a folder so that in case market does this blah 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 move into the future, when market comes back into the zone, I'll remember, oh yeah, I marked this zone. So why did I mark it? Maybe I'll go back to see the reason why I marked it. So yes, I have an order block here. Sorry, I drew it further. I have another block here, and I have FVG here. So now that I've marked it out, I'm going to check using my indicator. Remember I said I have order fair value gap indicator and order block indicator to see if they are actually correct. Right now, this is what I'm expecting market price to do. I'm expecting market to rest on the zone, come back up, or market does this, a deep pullback before it moves. That is on the trend line too. You know, we have different types of liquidity. We have trend line liquidity. We have consolidation liquidity. We have double top liquidity, double bottom liquidity. We have daily highs and daily low liquidity. So on this one, I think I'll be looking out for trend line liquidity, market to take out liquidity from this trend line. And if market comes back here, because we can't determine if while market is coming back right now, since we have not seen future prices, we can't determine if while market is coming back here is going to form some sort of double bottom or some sort of consolidation before it does something like this, then take it out and move into the trend line and do whatever I want to do. But then now I've shown you my 2 point of interest, my two area of interest. This is one of it, and this is second. And you can also use your Fibonacci retracement tool here to find Fibonacci levels. So I have this now. From the Fibonacci retracement tool, market has 78.6 level here and 61.8 Fibonacci level here. So let's go to the 4 hour time frame. If there is any, you can check out 2 hour too. If there's any sort of order block on 2 hour time frame, I do not have an order block around this area. And an order block, a very strong order block, must break previous structure. And if you observe this order block that I drew here, or from the 1 hour time frame, has broken this structure too. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame to see what we have here. Yeah, 4 hour time frame. This is also an order block. So yes, and it broke this structure here. For me, I'm not watching out for these retracement levels here, because in between the retracements I have FVG here. So market, what I'm expecting market to do is to come take out or clear out all the fair value gaps, like take it out, then retrace back into this zone before I take my trades. But if market does not do that, that's still fair, because I have one zone here, one here. Now let me take this out. So firstly, I'll be watching this zone and this, that is previous resistance to support, and around this zone I have my last candlestick before the massive bullish movement, which is my order block. So I can do this instead of waiting for previous. It's also a good one because this order block happens to be around a previous swing point. This order block is around a previous swing point. Sorry, flip zone. Flip zone, yeah, flip zone. First characteristic of a strong order block: flip zones can appear on Fibonacci retracement tools. It must have liquidity above or below it. And for my second order block, yeah, if you look at this previous structure here, this is also a flip zone. So this order block respects flip zone. Massive, which is aggressive move just after it forms. It broke structure. This one here did not break any structure. So this one here breaks structure, flip zone. It has liquidity above it. So I'll be watching both zones. I'm watching both zones because I'm interested in both POIs. But the strong one I have around this one is this. So whatever market does, whatever it does, if it comes back here, I will look for candlestick patterns that confirms my trade, take my trade. If it comes back here, maybe it ends up in the zone, then I'll be looking for candlestick patterns to around the zone. Whichever market does, I'm watching out for both zones. So now let's look at our indicator to see if this is 4 hour time frame. Let's see if from the 4 hour time frame it aligns. This is okay. As you can see, my order block finder says I have a bullish order block here and I have a bullish order block. Yeah. So it confirms that yeah, my order block is correct. So I'll be watching at this zone and this zone. Let's take it out now and see our moving average. From the moving average, we have it on this zone. So we'll be watching our both zones, like I said, but I strongly believe this is my strong point of interest, and this is kind of a weak one for me. I'm watching both, like I said, but I'm interested in this zone more, like more. I want to see price retrace to this zone first before I take my entry. But if it does retrace to this zone, it's not bad as well because I also have another block there. I've marked out my 2 point of interest, which I'll be watching out for from the 4 hour time frame. Let's see what the 1 hour time frame says about our indicator. Okay, there's a bullish order block here, bullish order block here, bullish order block here. See how the 1 hour time frame is creating noise. I really don't like using my indicators on the 1 hour time frame. And from the 1 hour time frame, it also says this zone is good using the moving average and the other block finder. So I can tell you that both zones are good, but my strong zone from the 4 hour time frame is this other one we have here below. And a strong order block must take out an opposing order block. So the question now is this block opposing this block? From what I can see, yeah, this block is an opposing order block, and a strong order block must take out an opposing order block. And also around, remember, using the indicator finder, I also add an order block around this zone. So like I can also take out that opposing order block into this one and move, or it can take out this opposing one and move into this zone. So whatever it does, like I said, this is my first zone of interest. This is my second zone of interest. That's my take on Euro USD. Yeah, I think that's all. So I'll be watching out price movements. I'll be watching out what price does before I finally decide that okay, yeah, I'm going to buy the market, or yeah, or nay, I'm not going to buy the market. That's that for that. Remember, this is Fio Forex. Thank you and have a nice day.